Hello to, I can't believe I noticed that Orm is wearing a man bun today.
It's just a bun. It's just a regular bun.
But it's on a man, so that makes it a man bun.
Is it? Who's to say?
Welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC, the channel right here where I'm Benny, that's Dan, and that's Dylan, and today we're going to talk about episode 3 of season 7 which is the season finale of season 6 in the middle of Flash season. COVID made things weird. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Why did they choose to do it this way?
Because this was a definitive ending. Like,
it really was.
I could just not watch any more Flash this season and be like, oh, what do you mean there was a season 7?
It's true.
So we'll take this from the top. We'll talk about our opinions of the whole thing, but let's go ahead at the start of this whole thing. I put in the notes right at the beginning, Barry references that he knew, I knew everything I was doing. Once again, this feels to me like it could have been a whole half a season thing. Like Barry being more and more evil because he was being more logical. I also feel like this would have fit in better with the Thinker season. I don't know what you guys felt about that.
I actually didn't watch the Thinker season, but based on the way that he changed, it makes sense why it would. But I actually did not see that season, to be honest.
It was kind of a strange subplot just to kind of throw in and then throw away. But especially because they didn't really bring it back. They just kind of got rid of the artificial speed force in this episode.
He was literally just like, I'm not Thawne. I can't do that. Moving on. Like,
which you know what? Fair enough. Like, I will if for a CW show to move the plot along quickly, I'll take it.
You know, you're 100% right, because all I do is complain that they stall on these plots too long, and they finally do one in like 3 episodes, and I'm sitting here like, well, they could have gone like half a season. You're 100% right, because I normally do complain that like, oh, it's too long. I went on way too long.
I'm glad, though, that they didn't stretch out like how dare you do such a thing? They were just like, no, we were all evil for some period of time, but we all know that we're good, too, so we don't even have to worry about this. Don't worry about it, Barry. We know you were a jerk. Let's just move on.
I almost feel like if the COVID didn't get in the middle of this would have been like a half a season thing, and they would have been like, well, I can't trust you now, Barry. And you're right. It was kind of interesting that they were all just like, nope, it happens. That's the superhero life, Barry.
So I don't know the production schedule. Did they film these last 3 episodes post-COVID?
Yes, they're done all post-COVID, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
That's why it got left hanging last season. So because they didn't have them.
I'm sure they were still written though. I don't think they would have made any changes to the ending episodes. At least it really doesn't seem, because I was kind of curious about that. Like in the finale, if they were setting up anything for actual season 7. It didn't seem like that.
Other than the cliffhanger, no, but we'll get to that a little bit later in our show today.
There's always cliffhangers at the end of these shows' finales. So I did want to say something about the very opening of this episode. The way that they revealed that they revealed to the rest of the cast that Barry had his emotions back. I thought that was well done. It came off a little cheesy at first, but the outpouring of like tears and emotions on Barry's face as the rest of the team sees him. And that's just a good way without any words, you just showed that they were trepidatious and still worried about him. But once they saw his face and realized what was going on, they were like, oh, okay, Barry's back. Let's step off.
We didn't waste any time with it. I did like that. Yeah. Because that is always one of the more annoying things about a lot of these CW shows, because when they are trying to stretch for 23 episodes, 24 episodes, they'll have like a whole episode where everyone's like, well, we don't trust him. And we always sit around at these review shows being like, why? This happened last season and the season before that. And at what point are we just going to go, hey, man, evil stuff happens?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like at this point, I feel like everyone on this show has had an evil version of themselves or has worked for the enemy at some point. Like,
when is Cisco? He's the only one I can't think of that did something evil.
He was a rude evil version, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
On during Flashpoint, his like billionaire self was kind of a dick, but like he wasn't evil. He just
I remember that. Yeah,
was like not super nice.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Ava trying to convince Flash to use the same old argument that we see like all the time. Why don't you just save everyone, superhero, insert person we're talking to? Superman, Batman, Aquaman.
Also, Earth 2 vibe. I completely that guy's just straight up evil. Sorry.
Oh, that's actually the one that I was referring to.
Yeah, I made that connection.
A straight bad guy.
Yeah, after I said what I said, I was like, oh, Dan was probably talking about actual supervillain.
Okay, so but like, I don't know. I felt like it was the same argument we see a lot of times in every superhero show. I feel like part of it was even already done in like Supergirl and Arrow. If you're just a CW universe Arrowverse fan, which what do they call it now? They got rid of the Arrowverse thing, which really made Stephen Amell mad.
They did?
I don't know, because it's still the Arrowverse.
It's just the
Let's be
Arrowverse.
honest, you can't.
They tried to rename it, and I saw an interview where he was perturbed.
When Flash launched, they tried to call it the Flareoverse. I don't think that ever.
I remember that.
The Flare. Yeah. I don't remember. Flareoverse.
I was like, no, just keep it, because I think once Legends started, or Supergirl, whichever came first, they were just like, we'll just go back to Arrowverse. It's kind of like how people tried, once Bloodborne came out, people tried to call the Souls games Soulsborne, but then Sekiro came out and ruined it. So now everybody just calls them Souls games.
Arrowverse gets a name change to the CW verse. That was the one. They're attempting to rename it.
That includes like Riverdale and Jane the Virgin then. Like what?
Can you imagine like Supergirl flies into Riverdale and Arrow shows up on Jane the Virgin? He goes to Jane the Virgin. You have failed this city. She's like, what?
That'd be crazy. I'd watch that. That sounds great.
Oh, that'd be great.
Where was Jane the Virgin during Crisis?
What about the Riverdale alternate realities in Crisis?
Oh my God.
But it's the same old thing we always get. I do like, once again, that they didn't waste a ton of time on that. Like with her going, like, why did you save the day? And he started giving reasons. And he just came back. Yeah, she let me free. Like she let me go.
Yeah. Wow. When they did that, when he just walked out, I was like, okay, when is he going to turn? When are we going to learn that this is an evil version of Barry that just walked back out of the Mirrorverse?
The mirror version of Barry? Yeah.
Yeah, like I was waiting for that. I was like, okay, when are we doing it? Where's the evil thing going to show up again? Because it seemed a little too easy kind of thing.
It's so interesting because if this episode was actually written as episode 3 of season 7, that's absolutely what would have happened. But because it's the finale of a season, like they have to move, they have to close things. So like maybe the writers should just write every episode as if it's the finale and we'll have like a good show.
All right, moving on. The next thing, the big thing that was I was just kind of like, really, the Harrison Wells revival where he's just like, hi, I'm back. He just literally walked in and he goes, I have all the memories, so we don't even have to introduce ourselves. I'm just Harrison again.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Beer Fest, where the guy's like, I'm Landfill's brother, but you could just call me Landfill, pretend like we're completely the same person. Let's move forward.
Like I do like that as we got to the conclusion of the episode, just to talk about the whole Harrison thing in general. We did get a proper goodbye, and they even had that awkward like Cisco, like, no, we don't really know each other, but why do I feel like I'm saying goodbye? Like,
I thought that was nice.
Yeah, I do like how they gave us closure on the Cisco Harrison thing. I do like that this new Harrison apparently is the time traveling Harrison. Like,
yeah. We gotta keep him around somehow.
It's like he's just gonna warp in whenever he wants to now. Well, I hear you need a help there, Barry.
Do we know if Tom Cavanaugh is coming back in like
he hasn't
actual
left the show.
Season 7? Right. So because the way that they wrote that is so ambiguous. Like that could have been a conclusion to the Wells character. Like we loop back and now he's spending the rest of his whatever with his wife. And he's beaten Thawne. That could have been him being written off the show. But also, he can time travel. So, he can just show up whenever he wants.
But not just time travel, though. Like, the thing is, like, the way that he did his time travel was very reminiscent of Dr. Manhattan in Doomsday Clock. Because he was like, yes, I can see through time. Because he even, like, Cisco makes the comment of, oh, I want to be with her friend. He's like, you will. I see it. Right now, it's June 15th.
You know what it actually reminded me of?
Lantern 3 feet.
Dr. Manhattan Wells, please give me that.
What it reminded me of actually was in the classic comics, Barry Allen comes back to life at one point before coming back to life. And he lets Wally stay the Flash by going into the future and living with Iris in an alternate future. And so once in a blue moon, he would show back up and they'd be like, well, it's not really Barry, but look, it's Barry. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what that kind of reminded me of. Like I'm going to go live my life the way I want away from all of this stuff. And he'll just show up when it gets really bad. Like,
yeah. I'm still miffed they didn't go the route of putting him as the Speed Force avatar. I thought that would have been really cool, and they didn't do that. But and now I guess Iris is the Speed Force avatar.
I don't know how I feel about that. We can go and talk about that. Like, it's still ambiguous as to what actually is going on with her, but at the exact same time, I liked what they did for season 6. She no longer was, I'm Team Flash. Like, no, Flash is literally a dude. He's right there. There's no, you're the leader of Team Flash. I liked her becoming Iris West, the reporter, doing reporter things. It's like what I like, like that's her actual role. And if you're going to give her powers, it was cool. I liked it when she had powers. But when she was just like, I'm here too, that was just like whatever. And now it's like, we don't really want to do like Iris doing her own thing, so we're going to incorporate her into the Speed Force, so it makes more sense. That's what it felt like to me. Like they want to do a different direction with her. I don't know. It was an interesting decision to take her in that direction after just establishing her newspaper, her team, her plot points, everything that would be Iris.
Yeah, I feel like her name must be Iris MacGuffin West. Because she's literally used every single time that something else, like, I mean, the fact that they're out there and she's like, oh my goodness, I can also control mirrors, but now it's gone because she left. It's like, okay.
They even made
I'm
a note
also
of
the
that.
Speed Force. Okay, but now I'm not anymore. It's like, what's going on, Iris? Is she going to become a Pink Lantern? Okay, that started as a joke when I said it, but that would actually be pretty awesome. But
I just don't like how the CW has this tendency to just try to bring everyone they can into a show and then make the show, like, they don't give everyone plots. And like, if you're going to you can't have a cast this big with the excuse of, well, they're all just here, which is what they like to do. Because even Cisco had that problem for a while where it's like, hey, he's Vibe and he has his own character and his own development, but he's just here. He's just at Star Labs. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
At least he's got a little bit more reason than the other guy who got powers. They contained him in a box for like 6 months, and now he's just sticking around. I still can't even remember his name.
Chester P. Runk. Respect him. Like Chester.
I mean, I really like the Iris West character. I do think that they have some good ideas there, but you're not wrong. They have a real high tendency to just turn her into the MacGuffin. Like, oh, now she's Speed Force. Oh, she can control the mirror. Now she can't do that. Like, I actually really enjoyed season 6 because she wasn't just there to propel the plot forward for Barry. She got a plot. Like, there was a whole thing that she was doing. And I feel like season 7 is just going to put her back to Barry's doing this, but he doesn't know if he can. Iris is going to give him that strength. Like, we're just going to go back into that. She's just going to be super support cast. You know what I mean?
I feel like the writers just don't like Iris for some reason, because from the beginning, they put her into this show because they read a comic book once and said, oh, Iris is the love interest. And they did not plan anything for her since then. So then the rest of the characters, like, they're put into this show for a purpose, mostly.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking about the original core cast, like, Wells is there to be the villain. Caitlin is there as, like, bioscience. Cisco is there as comic relief and other science man. And then obviously the Flash is the Flash. And Iris is the love interest. And her love interest plot is, like, wrapped up in seasons 1 and 2. So at that point, you have all of these characters that are on the table. And when you're writing something and you need a character to be something, all of the other ones are already taken. They already have their own stuff. So Iris is the only one left on the table, and they don't want to write around that. So they turn her into whatever she needs to be for the given situation, which ends up being clunky.
I feel like the problem that they have is, who's the actress that plays her? I always forget her name.
Candice Patton?
Yeah, she's got a huge fan base because the CW has a huge fan base on the teen drama, the love interest stuff, which I get. And I'm fine with. That's what you're getting with the CW show. We all know that. You know what I mean? And I feel like she's gotten such a fan base, the whole Iris West fan base that is out there that wants to see Candice Patton do well and wants to see her continually be a star on the show. That's the problem that the writers have. They want to make her super, super important. but they don't get there in a natural road. I feel like her getting the mirror powers and the plot with her being in charge of, like her being in charge of the paper and then moving on to get the powers of the paper, the mirror stuff, that all felt natural and perfectly fine. I liked all of that. It was great. And then out of the blue, they're like, but we need some way to restart the Speed Force. It's his love for Iris. Like,
yeah, that was just lazy. Like that straight up, the whole love stuff in this episode was like campy, which the show does well. But that was like too far.
I don't even think it was too far, because if you remember correctly, the final finale to the latest Flash big story arc was the Flash stopping the fight and going, "I forgive you, Thawne." Like that was the whole crux to that battle. It was just forgiveness. So him being like, it's your love for everyone that will restart the Speed Force. But once again, they MacGuffined Iris. So like, okay, well, she's out. Her brainwaves are weird. We need to fix her. She got up. She got up and walked in here. Like
that's the thing. Is like,
did they explain how she came in there? For the record,
no.
She just
walked
in. Okay, I just wanted to make sure
it was her love for Barry or whatever. Like that's the problem with that is when Barry like forgives a villain, like stops a fight and says you're forgiven or whatever. That's Barry doing something. That's human connection. We live that. We've experienced that. But when Barry starts saying stuff like, I'm the paragon of love, therefore Iris can bypass all of the science stuff we set up 2 episodes ago to channel the Speed Force and start it and be some kind of beacon that we don't explain, even though we over-explained the reason why Harrison Wells couldn't be that 2 episodes ago. Yeah. It's like,
I also feel
you can't do that.
With the way that she just got up, it almost feels like it was a waste at the end of last episode, or even at the start of this episode. She comes out of the Mirrorverse, she collapses, and they start this episode explaining why she collapsed. I feel like they should have just started this episode with her being like, yeah, no, the transition just really messed with me. What do you need me for, Barry? Like, they make this whole thing like, oh God, she's going to be in a coma, and what if that's the season 7 plot? And she got up. She needed a nap. Like,
what if this put her in a coma? Like Barry went into a coma, and then 8 months later, she wakes up and she has superpowers.
Like, it just felt like such a waste once again. I do like that they didn't drop the newspaper. She still has her I guess, the co-writer in there. The only other girl that works at her newspaper.
Oh, Allegra that was like, we need you, Iris. The citizen's not the same without you. I don't want to have to look for another job.
Does Camilla work there too?
She's a photographer.
She's... Okay, I can't remember. I don't know the specifics. I don't know if she has a W-9 or something. I don't know if she's like freelance or if she's
I want to see that episode. I want to see the episode where they don't do any villain stuff. Yeah, Flash is sitting down with Candace and they're doing their taxes, him for Star Labs and her. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, I had to do that with Cisco. Yeah, that's a W-9, Candace. Iris. And she's like, oh, yeah, but Caitlin, I think you can put her on a W-2, Barry. You know, like.
He's like, all those mirrors we broke, does that count as a business expense because we were fighting a mirror-based villain? Like, how does this work?
Just a whole episode of the Flash and Iris doing their taxes. That's just
The Flash, season 7 versus the IRS. Dun dun dun.
I hope that we go back to Iris doing stuff again. I never thought of her that way, but you're right. She has become the MacGuffin. Just like Flash is feeling run down, but a pep talk with Iris is gonna fix it. Like,
yeah, it's either like if Barry's facing a problem, it's either some form of Wells says "Run, Barry, run," or Iris says "I love you, Barry," and then he just like. Also, by the way, the "Run, Barry, run" in this episode, the most egregious.
Oh
like,
yeah,
didn't even try.
Barry, run. Oh, okay, cool.
It wasn't just that. What did he say after? It was like "Run, Barry, run" to Iris or something.
Something like that.
The Wells that showed up, and it's like, by the way, I'm alive again, but I'm not the same Wells, but I have all the memories of the previous Wells, so we don't need to talk. And by the way, I also know how to fix all your problems. And Iris is just going to wake up and go over there and just start the Speed Force. I know we established that this couldn't work, but don't worry, your love for Iris will do it, and then go run. Just run. Problem solved. We're good.
Also, I travel through time. I know this works. So listen to me. I can literally see it right now. You're running.
You know, it's funny because you said how Iris is the MacGuffin. I feel like this new Wells is going to be the new MacGuffin.
Totally.
Because he literally woke up and said, here's the answer.
So I had a brief moment when he appeared that I saw the green and I had this just brief moment where I was like, are they making Wells the new Spectre?
I thought the same thing.
Right?
would have been
I was
cool.
like, that could have been a cool way to do it. No,
Nope.
just
time traveling wells.
Time traveling wells.
All right, so I mean, overall, I do like what they did, but I do feel like I don't know, it felt rushed, I guess is the way to put it, because they did become a lot of MacGuffins, a lot of answers that didn't make a lot of sense, but we got the ending.
I do want to ask real quick there. Do you feel it was rushed because we've only seen the last 3 episodes, or do you think it would have been properly paced if this had been tagged on to the end of last season? Because I feel like a lot of this, at least to me, feels more rushed because I'm getting jumped back into the story. I just got hooked back in and now it's done. And it feels a bit rushed that way.
I think you're right about that because when we got to the final fight and the team showed up, I actually got my own little grin like, yes, the team's back. But then I was realizing like if this had just aired it properly, that wouldn't have been that big a big thing. But now that the team is back working together, I'm more excited because it's been a year.
Yeah.
They were gone for a couple episodes before, I think, too. Because they both went off. Cisco and Caitlin went off to do their
It would have only been
things.
like a month and a half break, though.
Yeah.
This way, it's been almost over
fair.
a year now of me not seeing Team Flash, like all the superheroes again. So I was like really excited about it. So maybe that's the same deal. Maybe because we came into it, we basically got a 3-episode arc that feels rushed through and kind of MacGuffin completed and moved forward. Maybe you're right. That could be it.
I think I don't think it was rushed at all. I think this is like pretty standard in terms of like writing for this show. Usually their finales and how they end up defeating the villain kind of falls flat. Either Barry runs faster or talks them off the cliff or something.
No. This time they held hands. They did hands across America this time.
Right. Which, by the way, when they were doing that, I thought Iris was going to hold her hand because Iris had mirror powers at that point.
That's what I thought too.
And then Barry goes up and I'm like, hey, Barry, you don't have those.
It was Speed Force and mirror powers. That's what it was. It was the combo.
They Care Bear stared Eva to stopping fighting.
So let's talk about one of the other big things that happened: the return of Ralph Digby. Long story short, we're not going to go into the political and the cancel culture and all this other stuff because, in my opinion, each thing is an individual situation that needs to be handled individually. I hate the blanket. But the actor has been fired due to tweets from before. Okay, you can look into it yourself if you want to get the full story on that. So the question was now, how were they going to resolve Ralph and Sue's storyline? Considering what they were working with, I thought it went pretty well.
I thought it was perfect because the thing, like a couple episodes ago where neither Sue nor Ralph showed up and they talked about how they were off doing something, I thought that was going to be it.
Same here. I thought they were gone.
The lazy, like we wrote both of them out of the show because bringing one of them back would be weird and we would have to explain where Ralph is. But the fact that Sue came back and then Ralph physically showed up, I was like, oh, this is great. And for context, I don't know if you haven't seen the episode while you're watching this, but like his face is all messed up. And in that moment, I was like, oh, right. He can just change his face to look like whoever he wants.
Of all the actors to get crazy on Twitter, it's the guy.
I know, like this was perfect for them. And like even if he just quit, like he pulled I mean, we don't really know what happened with Ruby Rose, but
she claims she wants to come back.
Oh, does she?
She does. She was in an interview for her latest movie.
Why?
And she's like, I would come back if they invited me back. And that just made me go, so what happened?
Nobody knows. But yeah, if what's his name like quit the show and decided to move on, like this would have been just as good of a way to write that actor off without writing the character off. And they're still like, again, same thing with Harrison Wells. Like they wrote it ambiguously enough to where they could bring them back if they want, or that could be their send off for the show. Yeah. So. Perfect in my opinion.
I actually really liked it. I also liked that they put him in the suit afterwards and they even said I'll be back soon, and I'm like, well, that's just gonna be another actor. Like he's gonna come back and be like, yeah, look, this is the new face of Ralph.
Yeah. I was looking in a magazine, I like this look, so I became the guy in the magazine.
That would be a Ralph Digby. Let's move on to the big thing. I do want to say when he was doing the love run, I'm
sorry. The saying it like that, I'm just picturing like this group 5K. It's the love run, guys. It's a 5K around town.
It's the Flash Team Love Run.
The Love Run.
When he was doing the Love Run, though, Grant Gustin, you could almost tell he knew how cheesy it was because of his grin. He was just like...
Also his hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Are we
gonna
not
say,
going to comment the hair? Like,
I don't think we've ever seen like him actually run and then them slow it down, because usually his hair is like stuck in place because he's not really moving, but it was flopping all over the place here.
But his face, I had to say something. It was just like,
That's the
they were probably like, look, okay, so you just lost all your powers. You basically beat the crap out of your team, but you're now in love, okay? That's your motivation. You're running towards love because this guy showed back up and told you to run, Barry. Run towards the love. He definitely did have a little bit of a look, though. I thought that bit was not the best running sequence
that's
we've
why
seen.
I think that's why this show works like over other shows to me, like other CW shows, is just because I think a little bit ago, not to the degree that Legends of Tomorrow has figured it out, but this show knows what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, it's fully aware that it's just campy nonsense. And when it leans into it, that's when it gets good. That's why Legends of Tomorrow is so good, because like season 2, they jumped ship. They were like, this show is nonsense. Let's lean into it. And that show is great.
Wasn't season 2, they were still on the plot with the Reverse Flash?
So season 1 was like the super serious. Season 2 was kind of like the hybrid where they were going, okay, let's make it a little more goofy. And then 3 was where they were just like, all right, let's just do whatever the hell we want to do, because people like that. And damn, were they right, because Legends of Tomorrow became one of my favorite shows of the CW shows.
That's a great show.
All right, so anyway, the season as a whole, I liked it. I thought this is probably one of their better seasons, especially considering the pandemic. We'll talk about the cliffhanger in 1 second, but the pandemic, considering the break, the year-long break between the episodes, considering everything else that kind of got in the way, everything. Overall, I thought this was probably one of their better seasons. I mean, CW shows are notorious to go up and down on good and bad.
While you're saying seasons, are you referring to if this was a part of season 6, or are we talking about season 7?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get that it's technically a part of season 7. I get that.
I just wanted to make sure that I was on the same page.
But this did not end mid-season. This ended like, okay, season 6 is done, guys. We're going to go on now. You know?
Yeah, this was for sure a finale. It's just the season 6 finale. No way around that.
So looking at it in that light, good or bad?
Talk to me in like 2 years when I've rewatched all of season 6, like binge style, because I don't remember what I thought.
I remember liking season 6.
I enjoyed it. I think my biggest problem was I felt like the villain was weaker, or like I did not have as much investment in Ava as a villain. And at no point did I really
care.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Like, there was never really a time where I was like, oh man, she's gonna go so evil and start doing these terrible things. No, I was just kind of like, okay, when is she gonna have like her weird realization, and then love's gonna be the solution to everything? Thank you, CW, making that easy for me. But no, like, even before the break, like, I felt like the, what did she call herself? The Mirror Monarch?
Mirror Monarch, yeah.
Like, I felt like there could have been so much more done, or so much more to make her a better villain. But I felt like she just did not have that.
I agree with you on that. For me, I feel that this season primarily was leaning towards the concepts of less that there's a big bad and more that the big bad was manipulating the team, like taking Iris and swapping people out. And like that, and leaning into it from that light, I think I liked there not being a Reverse Flash at the end of the season, or a Savitar, or a Thinker, like the big bad fight. You know what I mean? Like, it reminded me of the Thinker season, which I also liked, where it was more about how he messed with the team as opposed to directly fighting the team. The problem with the Thinker was I think that he was also crazy powerful, so that was a whole different thing. But it was like he could not only mess with the team, you also can't beat him in a fist fight, Barry. Like, I don't know how you're going to win this one.
Right.
I'm gonna blow your guys' mind for a second here. Season 6A, so the first half of season 6, Eva was not in it. It was Crisis stuff and Blood Guy. So
and that's why I liked it.
Blood work,
I think that like that's with that in context, those are two very different like seasons. Like the previous 3 episodes that we just watched are like very different from the start of this season. Because I do remember really enjoying Bloodwork and the Crisis stuff.
Yeah.
Crisis itself was a little strange, but like the attitude that the show had at the beginning of season 6 was, I'm pretty sure Barry was still like, I'm going to die. Everyone needs to prepare for my death.
Yes.
And then Crisis happens, and we get basically an entire other season that then has a year break into it. So definitely very, very interesting. A lot happened in this season, which is fun, I guess.
Well, what happened in the season is actually what I've been complaining about for the last 5 seasons before season 6 and 7. That the plots they've been running with were too big. They stretched out too far for 20-something episodes. And what I liked about the season is they said that they were going to break it into 2. There was going to be 13 episodes and 13 episodes, basically. Season 6 was going to be 2 villains, 2 plots. And that's what I liked about it, because I don't feel like anything really overstayed its welcome. There's a campiness and goofiness and MacGuffin-ness, but that's CW. You're getting that stuff no matter what. So I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet of mine in my time hop that was talking about the first episode of 6B and saying that I really liked it. I think I said something like they stepped up their game after becoming like the headlining show of the Arrowverse, because this was post-Crisis when Arrow was canceled, or not canceled but ended. And I might still have that opinion again. I don't know, but I remember the parts of season 6 that I remember enjoying. So good stuff.
All right, and the last thing we'll touch on is, what do you guys think that the cliffhanger was? I think it's kind of obvious. I think we all already agree.
I don't remember what happened.
The lightning bolts went in different colors in different directions, so the Force War.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, my first thought was Speed Force Storm, but then I remember that they already did that.
Yeah.
So.
I personally think, and we'll do a video on the various forces real soon, is why we didn't want to talk very much about it, but it looks like we're going to get the Sage Force, which is like super intelligent people, and we're going to get the Strength Force, super strong people. We're going to get the Still Force, slow you down. I never really understood what the Still Force did. It was like never really, because it was a part of like, it was, we'll explain all that.
It was like the
It's
anti-Speed Force, essentially.
Yeah, it was just the turtle.
No, that's the negative Speed Force, Dan.
No,
That's what Eobard
I said
Thawne
anti, not negative. There's a difference, okay?
And then, of course, Speed Force. So was there going to be another speedster running it around? Because they did 4. They didn't do 3 others. They did 4.
They'll do, the smart one will go to the Thinker. The Still Force will go to the Turtle.
The Turtle. We're going to get the Turtle.
The Wisdom Force will go to Bloodwork, because he's smart. I don't know. And then the other Speed Force Storm will bring Wally back. Wallace. We'll get Wallace West back.
They do
I'm calling
Fast
it right
5, but it's the Flash.
The Flash 5. Okay,
Flash
I would watch that. I would watch that.
Sounds great.
Flash.
That'd be
5.
fantastic.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed our recap of the final episode. This episode's a little bit longer, and I have a feeling Dilla did pull that out because of, like, sadly, he had a joke in there. You'll never know what it is, but it will be on Patreon.
You're making it sound like I made a joke that couldn't be in the episode. It was just... There was too much dead air in it, so I took it out.
Whatever. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this recap. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. They'll be talking about Superman because I'm in the middle of a move, so you're going to get that real soon. And then we'll be moving on to Falcon and Winter Soldier and next week's episode of The Flash. Thank you, guys. See you next time. Wait, hold on. Everyone run to love.
Hold on, I got to let my hair down slightly.
Mine's in a bun, so I can't, but I'm running. Damn.
Is that not what you guys look like when you run to love? Oh, shit.
I think you're running to something else.
Oh.